The dark red liquid soaked rapidly into the crisp white cotton of my shirt, blooming like a fresh wound across my chest and revealing the faded burned scars I had spent 7 painstaking years hiding from the world. If you believe in kindness, forgiveness, hope, and second chances, please take a moment right now to like this video, leave a comment, share this with someone who might be struggling today, and subscribe to our channel to join our growing family. It was a brilliant, sun-drenched Saturday afternoon, the kind where light poured effortlessly through the tall bay windows of our third-floor apartment, illuminating every corner with a golden warmth that contrasted sharply with the cold tension brewing inside. My roommate, a charismatic but fiercely competitive landscape architect named Caleb Sterling, was hosting a high-profile luncheon for several influential city planners and partners from his firm. I had spent the entire morning helping him prepare, setting up the patio tables, arranging the appetizers, and ensuring everything was immaculate for his crucial career milestone. As a freelance graphic designer who mostly worked from home, I preferred solitude, carrying the heavy weight of a tragic childhood house fire that had permanently scarred my upper torso and left me deeply self-conscious. To shield myself from unwanted stares and pity, I always wore thick, tailored, long-sleeved button-down shirts, fully buttoned up to my collar, even on the hottest summer days. Caleb had noticed my strict wardrobe choices over the 4 months we shared the lease, often making subtle, passive-aggressive jabs about my closed-off nature, assuming my guarded demeanor was simply a pompous refusal to fit in with his outgoing circle of friends. As midday reached its peak, light streamed across the hardwood floors of our open-concept living space, where a dozen well-dressed professionals laughed and socialized under the bright afternoon sun. I stood near the kitchen island, quietly holding a tray of appetizers, feeling completely out of place amid the glamorous atmosphere. Caleb, holding a freshly opened bottle of expensive vintage Cabernet, sauntered over with a playful grin that did not quite reach his eyes. He leaned against the counter, his presence domineering as he spoke loudly enough to draw the attention of several nearby guests. He casually questioned why I always dressed like I was hiding a massive secret, poking fun at my buttoned-up collar in front of his important colleagues. I tried to offer a polite, diplomatic smile and step away, but Caleb shifted his weight, lifted his glass as if making an exaggerated toast under the glare of the noon sun, and deliberately tilted his wrist. The deep crimson wine splashed squarely across the center of my shirt, heavy and cold, soaking instantly through the thin white fabric. The laughter in the room instantly died down into a suffocating silence as everyone turned to watch the stain spread rapidly across my chest, clinging tightly to my skin and outlining the jagged, uneven texture of the thick burned scars underneath. My breath hitched in my throat as a wave of paralyzing panic surged through my body. Before I could process the sudden betrayal, Caleb leaned forward, a taunt smirk spreading across his face, and announced for the whole room to hear that I had no choice now but to take the ruined shirt off right then and there. His words were meant to force me out of my protective shell through public embarrassment, completely ignorant of the profound trauma he was recklessly dragging into the light. Overwhelmed by intense humiliation and the burning sensation of past memories resurfacing, I dropped my gaze, clutched my arms over my chest, and quickly pushed past the staring guests. I hurried down the sunlit hallway to my bedroom, slamming the door shut and turning the lock with trembling hands. Standing in the bright rays of afternoon sunlight that cut through my window blinds, I looked into the full-length mirror and saw the dark red stain highlighting the raised, pale scar tissue running from my collarbone down to my ribs. Tears of deep emotional anguish streamed down my cheeks as I collapsed onto the edge of my bed. The physical scars had healed long ago, but the emotional wounds from losing my childhood home and bearing the marks of that terrible afternoon felt as raw as the day it happened. I sat there in the quiet room, listening to the muffled murmur of the party outside, feeling utterly exposed and shattered by someone I had considered a friend. Outside my locked door, the energy of the party shifted noticeably as the guests began to feel uncomfortable with what had transpired. Back in the living room, Caleb stood holding the empty glass, watching the closed hallway door with a sudden, unsettling realization. A senior partner at his firm, an older woman named Evelyn who had noticed my visible panic and the distinct pattern soaking through the fabric, stepped up to Caleb and quietly admonished his cruel behavior, explaining that true leadership required empathy, not the humiliation of others. Her stern, quiet words struck Caleb like a physical blow. The boastful confidence he usually carried crumbled instantly into a heavy, suffocating realization that he had crossed a boundary that went far beyond playful teasing. A few minutes later, gentle footfalls echoed down the hallway, stopping right outside my bedroom. A soft, hesitant knock sounded at the door, breaking the silence of the sun-drenched room. Caleb's voice came through the wood, entirely devoid of its previous arrogance, trembling with genuine remorse as he begged me to open the door so he could apologize properly. I sat motionless for a long moment, struggling against the bitterness swelling in my chest, before finally standing up and unlocking the door. When Caleb stepped into the light of my room, his gaze fell upon my stained shirt, which now clung partially transparent to my chest, fully exposing the severity of the fire scars underneath. Caleb froze, his face draining of color as the full reality of what he had done washed over him. He sank down onto the wooden chair by my desk, placing his head in his hands as tears of deep shame filled his eyes. He admitted that his arrogant behavior was an overcompensation for his own hidden feelings of inadequacy and jealousy toward my quiet resilience. He shared that he had grown up under the overwhelming pressure of an emotionally distant father who judged him solely on external perfection, driving him to constantly seek dominance and validation at the expense of others. Seeing my scarred chest illuminated by the golden afternoon sun, Caleb recognized the profound courage it took for me to wake up every day and build a life despite such visible pain, making him realize how cowardly his own actions had been. Standing together in the quiet sanctuary of the bedroom under the warm rays of the afternoon sun, the heavy wall of resentment between us began to dismantle piece by piece. I listened to his confession without interrupting, realizing that beneath his flashy exterior lay a deeply insecure individual carrying his own invisible emotional burdens. Instead of responding with anger or retaliation, I reached for a clean shirt from my closet, unbuttoned the ruined one, and let it fall to the floor. For the first time in 7 years, I stood in front of another person without hiding my scars, letting the sunlight rest on my skin without shame. Caleb looked at me with a profound, newfound respect, offering a sincere pledge to change his ways and earn back my trust, no matter how long it took. Driven by a sincere desire to make amends, Caleb suggested we fix the situation together right then and there. We walked into the bright, sunlit kitchen, ignoring the remaining guests who watched us with quiet curiosity. Caleb pulled out a wash basin, warm water, and specialized stain remover, insisting on washing the shirt himself as a humble act of service. Standing side by side near the window, with the afternoon sun bathing the room in warmth, we worked together to lift the deep red wine from the fabric. As the crimson stain gradually faded away under running water, the symbolic weight of bitterness, shame, and judgment washed away with it, leaving behind a clear path toward understanding and mutual growth. When the party finally drew to a close in the late afternoon, Caleb addressed his guests openly, publicly acknowledging his thoughtlessness and expressing his deep gratitude for my patience and grace. The guests responded with warm nods of respect, recognizing that a genuine transformation had taken place within the apartment. The atmosphere was no longer filled with superficial banter, but with an authentic sense of community and connection. We spent the remainder of the sunlit afternoon talking freely about our lives, our pasts, and our future aspirations, realizing that our differences were not sources of conflict, but opportunities to learn strength, compassion, and humility from one another. Before we conclude this journey, please take a moment to leave a meaningful comment below sharing your thoughts. Have you ever had to choose forgiveness over anger when someone deeply hurt you, and how did that decision change your life? If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. Life often brings us face to face with unexpected pain and moments of cruel misunderstanding, but how we respond determines the character of our souls. When we meet hostility with grace and choose to open our hearts instead of shutting them down, we give others the space to recognize their mistakes and transform for the better. As the bright afternoon sun slowly softened into the warm glow of early evening, Caleb and I stood side by side as true friends, proving that forgiveness has the incredible power to heal even the deepest wounds and turn our greatest vulnerabilities into our most profound triumphs.